So,
Any questions
in a
people
hopefully
have
orderly fashion.
about games, about systems, about whatever?
Spam the chat.
Spam chat. Spam the chat.
All the questions.
So, the one I saw while we were fighting, somebody asked if Inspired Courage was a standard. In Pathfinder 1, it was a standard. Pathfinder 2 uses a 3-action system, where Inspired Courage is a single action of the 3 actions you have.
Yeah.
It's much more dynamic.
I think that we really should take a second to like explain the action system because it's pretty significantly different.
So for spells, for instance, the number of actions a spell takes up depends on how it's cast. So Inspire Courage is verbal, so it's only 1 action.
Yeah.
Guidance is verbal and somatic, so it's 2 actions. Yeah, it's
And
2 actions.
other actions include an attack, a move action, so you move your speed, and of various other things. It makes a lot more builds a lot more viable, and honestly just makes the game more fun and smooth to play.
Yeah.
So I really like that. I'm going to tilt my mic a little bit so I have a better view of the screen. Sorry if I hit you.
And you're going to hit me with your mic.
Where did you get a lantern of detect healthiness custom items ? Yes, it is an item I made. I gave each of my players a little sort of utility magic item at level 1 that I was hoping would reinforce kind of
Go over what they
their
are?
core concepts.
Shall we go over what they are?
Yeah, by all means, if you'd like. Sherry, Tessie has the Ring of Rings.
Yes, Tessie has the Ring of Rings. So the ring on her finger is the actual magic item. And from that, she can pull numerous rings that she can expand or contract in size and combine or separate in thickness. So all the bangles that she wears are actually rings that she's pulled from her Ring of Rings. She can make them light up. She can change their color. That was it basically started with me wanting Tessie to have a seer wheel without having her have to carry it around all the time. And wanting to be able to juggle hoops and, do an act with multiple hula hoops without having to carry all that around all the time.
The Ring of Rings more or less mechanically is it can cast the light cantrip on itself.
Yeah.
And gives her a +1 to perform.
But if any of the rings get too far away from the ring on her finger, the light goes away.
Yeah, they disappear.
Yeah.
To answer the quickest question on the whole chat, yes, we are level 1. Do you want us to level up at the end of this?
We are going to be leveling up now, though.
Okay, so we wanted to start at level 1, but we're going to be advancing quickly until we get to some levels that are more interesting. So next session will be level 2. I apparently stole a child. I don't remember this, but I was pretty drunk.
I believe the question was, did Ivan steal the Thorn Zombie's child, and thus they are coming for revenge? Absolutely.
Yes. I was pretty drunk. I don't really remember this.
The chunk of wood was definitely the Thorn Zombie's child.
Yes, it was, and I will carve it.
Yes. He's going to carve it into a Thorn Zombie child made out of a Thorn Zombie child.
I hate you, Dave.
So, magic items.
What are the other custom items? Ivan's is the Lantern of the Discerning Healer, I think it was called.
Yeah, Lantern of the Discerning Healer. It is a bullseye lantern.
Yeah, a bullseye lantern.
Or a hooded. No, this is the bullseye lantern.
It's a bullseye lantern.
Bullseye lantern that when I light it, it does not need like oil and stuff. I can just light it with a command word magically. And when I lower the bullseye hood to have the single direction cone, if I shine it on a target, it tells me what their condition is. If they're healthy, it's green. If they've taken some damage and they're wounded, it's like goes into like a yellow into like an orangish, and when it gets to red, that means that they're like real hurt and close to death. It also will show, I believe it was little floating motes for
severe
disease, and poisons will be little like like cracked. It would look like it's a
something
cracked
like that,
image.
But only if those things are significantly life-threatening.
Yeah,
like
significant.
It's not, if you have, I don't know,
someone's
the flu,
got the cold.
Yeah,
it's not showing up disease.
It's not exactly detect disease. It's detect desperate threat to your life.
Yeah, severe diseases and severe poisons that are like genuine threats, as well as direct physical injury. It can inform me about that.
Yeah. Amelie, I don't think I've given this item a name yet because it was very new. A little inside baseball, I guess. Amelie originally was built as a couple of other classes during the playtest phase of Pathfinder 2.
I was a ranger.
Yeah, she was most recently built as a ranger, which was a cool build. But as we got into the final version, Morgan felt more called toward the monk side of things, which I think fits the character fantastically.
I answered my calling.
Yes. But it does mean that I had to rewrite her magic item. So I haven't named it yet, but it is a headband which changes colors based on her level of sort of mastery of the monastic arts.
So basically, I'm a white belt now.
Yes,
so
she has a white headband now.
My headband's white.
And then
It's punched out.
once she can use an action after her tiger stance deals bleeding damage to someone. A tiger stance is a monk ability that whenever she critical hits while using tiger stance, it deals bleed damage. Well, when she does that, she can heal a number of hit points equal to her level as the headband sort of absorbs the blood and gives her the health from it. And she can do that once per fight, more or less, because she has to refocus herself to get the headband back online.
So Charlie, can I use the blood from your baby?
Emmeline's
Your
knew
zombie
that one
baby?
of these was sentient,
Yes,
and that's all I
Emmeline's-
know about it.
Emmeline's
Oh God.
is the one that nobody in the group except me and Paul are aware of. And I'm going to keep it that way a little bit longer. I think in the not too distant future it'll come to light. But needless to say, it has to do with Emmeline killing sentient beings.
Emmeline also has the most secretive backstory.
It's super great, you guys.
Um,
I'm very proud
so that's
of it.
fun. That's my favorite creation for this
It's gonna be
campaign.
bad.
No,
It's
the
gonna be
Ring of,
real
and it's not
bad.
true. I think the Ring of Rings might be my favorite creation for this campaign,
That one's
just
pretty
because
good.
it's so silly, and I love it.
It's like, I need Circus Halfling to be able to have all the circus supplies she wants without hauling them around without a cart.
But yeah, any other questions I'd be happy to answer? I also just want to say the critical hit thing. Critical hits are really interesting in this, in that if you succeed by more than 10, then that's a critical. If you roll a 20, it increases your success rate by 1, which means if you would miss, you will hit. If you would hit, you'd critical hit. If you'd critical miss, you'll only miss. And a critical miss is having less than
Where is this being?
10.
Is it 10
So-
or more than 10?
It's I believe 10 or more. So
Okay.
if I roll a 9 and their AC is 19, I have critically missed them. If I rolled a 20 and somehow it was reduced to a 9 or something through things, then it would, instead of being a critical miss, it would only be a miss. But I would still miss even though I rolled a 20.
Yes.
Similarly, if I roll a 19 and I have a plus 10 to hit, and so I have a 29 on my total, and they have an AC of 19 there, then that would be a critical hit, even though I didn't roll a 20. And if I rolled a 20, then it's an automatic, and it hits. It's an automatic critical hit because it upgrades that by 1. If I roll a 20 and I would have missed, it will upgrade it to a hit, but not a critical hit. So it's like, it's just upgrades things, or ones downgrade things.
Yeah.
It's interesting, because it means that it's some things with crazy high AC. It means if you roll... It means that, like, if you're level 1 and you're fighting the Tarask, you don't have a 1 in 20 chance of hitting it. You have a 1 in 20 chance of not critically missing, at least, you know?
Yeah. Where's this being filmed? We
Yes.
are in an apartment in Ohio right now.
Yep. In someone's living room.
Yep. The zombies did not have typical organs,
Now it's a
but
recording
sneak
studio.
attack worked on them. Is precision damage still a thing in Pathfinder? And can rogues sneak attack multiple times in a turn? Yes, rogues can sneak attack multiple times in a turn. Yes, precision damage is still a thing. These, while not having normal organs, were still susceptible to precision damage because they did have bits that were less or more vital than other bits. They just weren't obvious from a human anatomy perspective. And so, yeah, maybe Emmeline wouldn't know what those bits were, but luck.
Yeah.
Is it 10 or more than 10? It is 10 or more to get an automatic critical or an automatic critical failure. So, you know, if for instance, when I was asking what Emmeline's AC was because I rolled a 27, the fact that it was 18 meant that I didn't critically hit. Whereas if
really
it was
important.
17, it would have been a critical hit.
I would have died.
there's anything else I missed along the way.
We talked about multiple attack penalties.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a good thing
So-
to. If nobody else has any more questions, or while people are typing questions, yeah, because you have 3 actions, you can theoretically attack 3 times in a round, and sometimes that is definitely the thing to do. But because attacking 3 times in a round shouldn't always be the absolute only thing you should do with your time, they added multiple attack penalties. So when you attack, you roll the d20 obviously and add your relevant modifier. If you've already attacked once in the round, and attack again, you take -5 to that. And if you've attacked 2 or more times in the round already, you take -10 to your subsequent attacks. Oh, I feel like I'm missing something, but that's okay.
Joe being a wonderful human being.
Okay. So there are ways to get around this a little bit. Agile weapons reduce it. Rangers specifically have a build that makes it much, much easier to hit multiple times, which is a lot of fun. But generally speaking, they wanted to make sure that doing literally anything with your time other than stab it 3 times in the eyeballs was a worthwhile thing to do.
What's kind of cool is that some of the skills and some of the different skill actions you can take are counted as that. So if you go to disarm somebody, that does take
That
you
is still,
-5.
and Amelie did grapple a couple of times, and that is also an attack.
Bramble Man is
Who,
the man
who is the Bramble Man?
brambles.
He's from Jersey.
Yeah.
He's a used car salesman, actually. He's like the 2nd or 3rd best used car salesman near Poughkeepsie. He's kind of a stand-up guy, actually.
Lord, I was born a brambling man.
I like how I said near Poughkeepsie. I don't even know if that's in New Jersey. It was just like that's a Jersey-ish sounding name.
Also, that's my next gnome's name. That's
Poughkeepsie.
Poughkeepsie.
Interesting thing, Electric Arc Cantrip apparently doesn't have the attack trait.
That's almost certainly a misprint. They very recently,
Unless it's a save.
unless it's a save, yeah, it might
Because,
be a
for
save.
example, my heal was not an attack. I just
Yeah.
they get a save.
Yeah,
So-
anything that uses a save instead of a hit, an
is a save.
attack on an AC sort of thing, yeah, then that's not actually an attack. So because they're rolling a save against your DC rather than you rolling an attack against their
Yeah,
AC.
it is a save.
Yeah.
They take a lot of the guesswork
It's
out
honestly,
of what
traits
is and isn't a thing. Yeah,
honestly,
yeah,
traits
traits
are
are great.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying
the
the
system.
system.
Top to bottom is a lot
I'm
easier to
really
understand.
liking the system.
There's a lot less ambiguity. I really enjoy it. I love the 3-action economy.
Yeah, that I like that so much better because I have a tendency to want to play characters that will stand back and shoot or stand back and cast. So in
Same.
the old action economy, it's like move action, what's that? I'm staying right where I am.
Yeah.
So I would have a wasted action most turns.
Yeah, and I'm so far this system has been really good. I'm very, very happy with it. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, just in general, like I one of the things is we've talked a lot about did we want to start today at level 1, and I always like starting at level 1, but I totally understand how people were like you should advance quickly because it's boring at level 1. They've done a really good job of making the classes feel like the classes they are and get some class features and be functional at level 1. So starting there isn't such a chore anymore. I mean, we're still gonna want to advance quickly into some of the better stuff, but I am happy that, like, for
Real
example,
quick.
monks get key early on.
Real quick, we've got somebody saying, "See you later." Thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah.
We're absolutely as grateful as could be to
you
have
next
everybody
week,
here.
hopefully.
So see you next week, we hope. I'm sorry, keep going. But yeah,
Yeah, that was
it's-
it. Just
a
like-
lot of the class features come on earlier.
Yeah, like monks didn't get key in Pathfinder First Edition until level 4.
Yeah.
In this, they get it at level 1. They get some key stuff.
If they're doing
It
a
was-
key build. If they're not doing a key build, they don't get it at all.
It's to
Sure,
the
but
point
that's
that, like,
but they
but
give some
that makes it an
flexibility to
interesting
things
choice
and-
rather than something
yeah.
you're just waiting.
And
to
early on,
hang
you
up.
feel like what you're doing. It feels good at level 1.
It was to the point in first edition that some groups would actually just flat start their games at level 3. Like I have a
Yeah.
friend
Some groups,
who
meaning all of
generally
ours.
just flat starts his games at level 3 or 4 at the minimum. Just because at that point everyone will have at least started to get some of their cool stuff.
I mean, what did you guys think? I mean, because I was, I like starting at level 1, but there was definitely some resistance. Like, what did you guys think about how does it feel at level 1 for you guys?
This one
as
feels
compared
better
to
at level
before.
1
Yeah, it
than,
does.
than first edition.
The reason
feels
I
level
was
1.
thinking about pushing toward level 2 was just because it gave me a broader palette of creatures to throw against you. The number of things I can reasonably throw against a level 1 party is fairly limited. So I was looking at possibly being could we start at level 2, because then I've got, I can throw several level 1 monsters or a whole bunch of level 0 monsters or 1 or 2 level 2 monsters.
I think I think the biggest thing that makes
Um,
level 1
oh.
so much more playable in Pathfinder in this Pathfinder Second Edition is that it give you more hit points at first level than you would in D&D, because you gain your class hit points, and then you also gain a little bit of hit points from your race.
But only at level 1.
But only at level 1, yeah. So at level 1, I would get 8 from being an elf or a half elf, and an additional 8 from being a rogue. I have 18 hit points with my con in on that.
Also, for Bardic Geek,
Yeah.
The attacks of opportunity are no longer just a thing, which I also again like
I love it.
because it allows you to move around the battlefield. It makes it less static.
Let me clarify real quick for those who haven't gotten their hands on Pathfinder 2. Attack of opportunity previously was an action that all creatures had. If someone moved away from a creature, you could take an attack of opportunity unless you specifically had a trait that said you couldn't. Now attack of opportunity is a thing that belongs only to a couple of classes. Fighters, I believe paladins get a version of it, and I think barbarians get a version of it. Though I'm not sure on barbarians. That might not be the case. And there are some other ways to get similar sorts of things. But the fact that not everything, and not even a majority of things, are capable of attacks of opportunity now means that motion around the battlefield is vastly more dynamic. And it's a choice. It's not, do I just suck it up and take this hit to get away? Or do I stay where I am and not give them a free attack? It's, do I take the risk without knowing whether or not this guy will attack me or not? Do I flip that coin and try and move to a better spot, or do I not? Do I hold here? It makes it a lot more dynamic. And
it also means that
it also means fighters are more special.
Yeah, it makes it more special. It also means that when I'm standing somewhere, I can move around the battlefield, which means they can play more with positioning and have things moving around more, without having to have attacks of opportunity be such a problem that it makes the battlefield a lot less static. Because previously, a lot of times when you get into your position, you just kind of stand there. Because if you ever try to move from it, they're gonna start hitting you. So.
Oh yeah. Joseph, I made a level 1 dungeon for fun, and it was lacking in options for encounters, but still fun. Yeah, that's definitely the case. But I think that's less a function of level 1 having a lack of monsters, and more that we're coming off of Pathfinder First Edition, which had upwards of a decade of content put into it, which meant I had 8 years worth of level 1 monsters to put into a dungeon if I wanted, and now we have a book of all the levels of monsters. So there's in bestiary there's and that's the rules. The bestiary is another 400 and some odd pages. The book is unbelievably huge. It's 628, I think I want to say.
Yeah.
Somewhere thereabouts. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, it's just that it needs time to get more.
Pathfinder
more
rule
monsters.
book, one bulk.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a book with a bulk.
Oh yes.
I think a few advanced
telekinetic
monsters
projectile.
with training can, based on playtests I did at Gen Con. Yeah, there are definitely monsters that can use attacks of opportunity. A lot of the sort of humanoid monsters, goblinoids and things like that, there are several of them that have attacks of opportunity. There's some more intelligent undead that have attacks of opportunity, and anything like hobgoblins, bugbears, probably owlbears, maybe certain owlbears do.
Yeah.
But it's not exactly unheard of for monsters to have attack of opportunity, but it's definitely not a sure thing.
Snowmobile has asked, what do we all enjoy most about 2 versus 1?
Reaction economy, hands down.
Yeah.
Not even a close one.
I that was my first thought as well, but I think I want to go for me specifically a bit more general of the 3-action economy is part of, I think, an overall just streamlining, and just everything feels a lot more streamlined. How the ability scores are added, is
Yeah.
very
the
interesting.
character building is vastly different.
Vastly
I
more
would
interesting,
try to
more
explain
skill.
it, but it would take me half an hour. So.
The skills are more streamlined and interesting without sacrificing the ability to get some of your own stuff and your own uniqueness.
Right.
The spells no longer go stop at 9. You have 1 through 10, which just kind of feels better. People work on skills of 10 in most things.
Yeah.
It just, in general, I think they've done just a phenomenal job of streamlining things, of cutting off a lot of the excess and annoyances of 1 without losing the identity and uniqueness of 1, and in fact kind of building on and adding it. This feels like, the thing I like most about this system is that it feels significantly different and unique and interesting while still maintaining a Pathfinder identity and still feeling like the same game. It's different than 5th edition too. It's not just, it's not just the 3.5 in Pathfinder thing where everyone called Pathfinder 3.75 because they were essentially the same system. This is significantly different, and I really like that about it.
Yeah. I also want to. Oh my god, I forgot what I was literally just about. No, it's not your fault. I was listening to what Charlie was saying, and halfway through I came up with a good point. Now I forgot. What it was.
Aw.
It's not 3.75. It's
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It'll come back to me.
It'll be fine.
just some background. Most of us have been playing Pathfinder First Edition for years.
For years, yeah.
So we love the first edition of Pathfinder. So this is not us saying, coming from having
First
disliked
edition
Pathfinder First Edition and saying finally a Pathfinder I like. No, we loved it.
I have dozens
for
of
years.
characters made
Yes.
right now that I've never even played, just
Yeah.
sitting in my computer.
First edition Pathfinder has, since the day I started playing it, been my favorite tabletop role-playing game. So yeah, this is not dissing Paizo for 3.75 or whatever, but it's just, I think this is a significantly better system in
Yeah.
almost all respects.
So-
I remember what I was going to say.
That's awesome.
I love how this version disincentivizes min-maxing.
Yeah.
It makes it
harder too.
possible if you want to do it, but you can't do it anywhere near as much, and it really makes it easier to have a character that relies on more stats.
And the
Because so many
variety-
builds back in Pathfinder 1 were so much fun to theorize, but the fact that Pathfinder 1 made it so hard to have more than one stat that did anything mechanical for you, it just didn't work.
Each
Yeah.
class also has a variety in the way it works, similar to the archetypes, but actually not quite as rigid as the old archetypes. If you've got, rogue, do you want to play the sneaky rogue? Do you want to play the rogue that jumps around the battlefield? Or do you want to play a big, strong bruiser rogue? You can play a big, strong bruiser rogue now.
They have things like they've taken a lot of like subclasses and multiclasses and stuff and made them into styles. For example,
Right.
Ivan is a cleric, but he is the war priest cleric. Because instead of having a war priest as a separate thing, they now have multiple styles of cleric, which differentiates between the like military big sword and shield like martial clerics and the no armor standing in the back caster clerics. There's a new class called champion, which is basically a combination of all of the various flavors of paladin that existed.
Yeah.
One of them being paladin. If you are a lawful good champion, you're a paladin. Instead of having multiple classes that all kind of do the same thing, but with a slight difference.
Yeah.
You
For
know?
instance, Hendry there is a paladin. He is a
Yeah.
lawful good champion. There are Creed's guards who are not. There are Creed's guards who are like chaotic neutral. They haven't released champions for anything.
Were
but
all
the good
champions
ones.
lawful? Is that still a...
No.
or-
All paladins are all lawful good.
Yeah.
Champions can theoretically be any alignment. They've only released good champions so far.
Okay.
But in future books, they're going to be releasing more. I look forward to it. In the meantime, just rest assured, not all Creed's guards are good.
They have they're talking about a lot about the varieties in Rogue, and that's actually where I kind of got started on my character class, because in the playtest I saw that there's a really good way to make a bruiser, or kind of more of a striker class, where you have really solid damage output with your sneak attack and dex 2 damage, but you could still be fairly tanky. So it's kind of a hybrid frontline thing that wound up getting changed around with some of the things that came up in character concept and background. This makes what I have currently makes a little bit more sense, and will get really interesting level 2 onwards.
I imagine min-maxing might be more of a thing once class archetypes and more classes are released. Sadly, it's possible.
Yeah. The thing is,
inevitably more choices mean more potential breaking points. That said, the system is built such that there's always min-maxing. There's always optimal choices, but min-maxing in this system looks very different because it's very hard to have a dump stat. The worst you can get in most stats is a 10. If your race,
it's pretty easy to get 8 with a race.
If your race has a negative to it, then it becomes an 8. If you then dump it one step further, you can get a 6. But the amount you're giving up for so little return for that is almost never worth it outside of very niche.
The thing is, your stats are large. You get some free things to assign around, but your stats are largely based on what your options are: race, class, in the background, and we'll assign kind of where some of your points go, and then you get some free points to put around, and you can't just dump everything in one thing either. So it's
About the ability score,
what about the alternative rules for rolling ability
This
scores?
is like my favorite part of the system, actually.
They exist. I'm sure. I have not read them.
They're in the
I
book.
have. Yeah, I saw that they
read
were
them,
there.
Paul?
I haven't read them, but I really like the way that the base system for
Yeah.
generating stats works.
yeah.
First of all, the base system for stat generation is so tight and balanced that I honestly don't know why you would roll ability scores. That said, I am biased. I have always hated rolling ability scores since the day I started rolling dice.
Our
I
group
think,
tended to
as
be,
you've seen from our rolls tonight, it doesn't always work out for
in
us.
first edition, our group tended to be the point buy ability group.
Yes. And
So-
that's, I'm not saying that people who like it are wrong or that there's anything even particularly unfair about it. If everybody is on board, have your fun. You do you. It's just, I am from I'm going to start waxing philosophical about game design, but from a game design perspective, I have always fundamentally disliked the notion of asymmetry, of resource asymmetry. It's the same reason why I don't hand out experience to my players asymmetrically. If one character gets experience, everyone gets experience. Because advancement, I've always felt, has to be symmetrical or the game starts breaking. Now, different groups can handle that different ways. There are definitely times where a little bit of asymmetry can be a lot of fun from a storytelling perspective. It's just not my thing. I'm too much of a numbers nerd when it comes to game design.
It's a tentacle dragon.
Oh jeez.
Well, that's getting turned into an
I
encounter.
can't.
Oh, good.
I can't
Oh, good. You just
actually
gave.
read
I don't know
the
who you
chat.
are,
gave
Wither
him
King,
the
but
See
that's
the emojis.
fantastic.
We have a new monster now.
I can't actually
Why
read
do
the
you
chat, I
give
can
him
just see
ideas
the-
with the
Ooh.
king?
Hello,
see the
people.
emojis.
Hello.
Thoughts on human and half-elf/orc multi-classing racial feat bits? I only glanced at it, but it appears that you can blend class feats from other classes to add ability and flavor to a personal build. Are you talking about the later human feat that allows you to take a multi-class feat as one of your racials, like in place of one of your racials? Because I think that's a level 9 feat, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. That allows you to sort of do a late pivot into some interesting side things. By the way, before I forget, you two human people, now that the errata came out, you guys got an extra language.
Oh,
So
The what came out?
the errata,
extra.
the
They
corrections
said-
of
well,
mistakes.
but
Okay. Okay.
Does that apply to half races as well?
Yeah, they're still
Okay.
human.
now
Yeah,
I speak
okay.
Dwarven. Now I can understand the sick burn.
I mean, you could also just speak Elvish.
I can take what?
You could take
Elvish.
Elvish.
I'm gonna speak Bramble. I already have Elvish.
Oh, okay, never
Speak
mind.
Bramble.
You're gonna
Speak
speak
Bramble.
specifically Bramble Cult.
I want to speak Thorn zombie language.
Because don't the half races already get an extra language? They don't get their own races. Okay. Well then, that's good.
And humans didn't either.
This
So,
is good.
Oh,
Good
dear.
things.
but it means that humans from a specific region didn't get the language of their region for
Yeah.
free. If you were playing a non-intelligent character, or a character with no intelligence bonus, you just didn't speak the language of the place you were from.
Snowmobile, the errata was on a
Yeah.
Twitch stream. It's the Pathfinder 2E subreddit has a thing that talked about it. I'm sure they'll post it up eventually. It had some things. Adventure packs are 1 bulk instead of 2 was one of the things.
Yeah, there was a Twitch stream with the errata. From what I understood, they're going to be posting it pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm sure
of
it's going to
official
come
PDF
up
document.
pretty soon with some sort of actual Twitter post at least.
How fast do you like advancing in levels in a game? 3 to 4 sessions per level. I think it varies both in terms of like what kind of, if you're playing a module, then there's a lot more structured level ranges. If you're kind of making it up as you go, you can be a little more or less consistent. I've always kind of preferred being a little loose with that and leveling up when I felt like it made sense. With some heavy knowledge that people going off and doing their own thing, or doing things that don't necessarily contribute directly to the main story should also count. Sort of milestone leveling can be a really good system, but the problem is that it disincentivizes people having any deviation from the main plot, because the main plot is the fastest way to get to your next power shot in the arm,
That's cool.
So, but yeah, generally speaking, I'd say probably every 4 sessions is more or less the sweet spot. I don't know. I haven't decided exactly how that's going to go with this game, because it's going to play every week. It may be a little fast, or maybe a little slower than every 4 sessions, because that's, 1 level up a month. Now I have to catch up because a bunch of people are asking questions. I like gnomes being able to get a familiar at level 1 in any class. Yeah, it's super cool. Gnomes are probably my favorite race, outside of the fact that humans are a little bit broke. Gnomes are probably my favorite race in this edition, because they've got so much cool flavor.
Being able to take the second class feat at level 1 is pretty absurd.
Yeah, being able to take a second level 1 class feat for a lot of builds is just real dumb for humans. We already talked about where you can find the errata. Basically keep an eye on Paizo, especially on the forums. The errata will get posted soon. Path Builder 2e. Yeah, I've actually already heard about this app, and it looks really good. I just haven't gotten a chance to dive into it. It looks like a really powerful mobile character generation tool that just walks you step by step through the entire process. Now, I've gotten pretty fast at doing it on my own, but I'm not infallible.
I always love tools like that, because it just gives me something to sit down and just poke at for hours. That's
Just wouldn't tell the characters what kind of system we're running for the XP and take note of significant events. It's anytime you're giving the players a list of qualifications for leveling up, you are telling them spend all your time doing this, or you are doing something wrong. And so I definitely avoid doing that.
Basically, we level up when Dave says we level up. So
yeah, we are not following. While I think the new XP to level mechanics are really well balanced, we aren't specifically following those. I'm taking them as a general guideline and doing some other things. Yeah.
I cry.
Snowmobile, when you find it, please tell me.
Yeah, what's the best way to find a group to play as a player?
Spend months
Roll
building a
20 or in
stream.
person. I'm going to be honest, Like, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't have a great answer for that question, because I am related to this person.
Yep, he is my brother.
And I have known Paul and Charlie for 10 years.
It's
We
been
met
something like that.
them in college through mutual friends who also game.
Right.
And
Morgan is the newest addition to the group, but came in by way of a relationship.
So it was basically like
So-
meeting people who had similar interests and saying,
Right.
hey, we want a game, let's game together.
Right. Basically, what happened with us is we worked really hard to get a gaming group together in college, and then hung on to it for dear fucking life. And it has more or less been made up of the same general grouping of people since then.
Give
you
or take some
can
people
you can
who-
find things. Going to local game stores and just asking
Yeah,
about it is
but-
never a bad way. A lot of times they'll have stuff going on there. Stuff like that.
I know that's
But-
definitely not practical for everybody.
But yeah.
Local game stores. For Pathfinder specifically, Pathfinder Society.
Yeah.
Is a good way to just get your Pathfinder fix.
Yeah.
But also to meet people who are in the scene. And if they've got a group that needs a player, a lot of times they'll tag somebody and be like, "Hey, jump in on this game."
There's a D&D 5th edition.
There's the
Pathfinder
Adventurers
Society-
Guild,
D&D Adventurers Guild,
which
that's
is
what
the
it's
same kind of thing.
Sometimes you can also find meetup
and-
groups or
yeah, this
Facebook
is-
groups.
Yep.
Yeah,
Just
but
poke around.
I wish there was a hard and fast good way to do it. I haven't found a really solid, consistent way to do it yet, though. Especially because there's so much range in what is a good group.
Yeah.
A good group for me is very different than a good group for some people I've played with, because they're much less story centric and much more. It's kind of a board game with a coat of story paint on it, and that's fine. That's a valid way to play the game.
I have left groups
It's
of
just not how
people
I want to.
because they are wonderful humans and I enjoy their company as friends, but I will not play with them anymore because I found our play styles don't mesh well. And it's because we want different things out of games.
Yeah.
Snowmobile, that was my experience as well.
Yeah, I Pathfinder Society is something I like to go to now and again because I do enjoy the mechanics of Pathfinder. I like the strategic kind of war gaming side of it, but I can't really bring myself to play it too consistently, just because it's so crunchy.
And it's also difficult to get a character like up to a point you really want to play it at, because you have to start at level 1 and play 3 games at level 1 to get to level 2, then 3 games at level 2 to get to level 3. And when your character only comes online around level 7 or 8, then you start to
Although
it
I'm
wears on you.
interested to see if they're going to revamp it for the new system.
Yeah, I don't know what PF2's
Because we've only played Pathfinder Society in First Edition, where, as we mentioned before, one of the issues was your character really doesn't pick up in what it can do until 3rd level at least.
My biggest thing with Pathfinder Society is that usually you're doing kind of one-shots. You're like,
Yeah.
we're doing this adventure module, this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not usually an ongoing, consistent plot, which
Yeah.
is what we're trying to do with this.
They are definitely doing a Pathfinder Society for 2nd edition. I don't have details on it, but I do know it's happening. I have seen
I would be much more interested
people
in trying
talking
it out
about
for
it. I
this.
just haven't had the time to listen to them because I was busy building this.
This has taken up months and months.
This has been
Yes,
a
this
lot
has
of
been the
a
last
lot of
3
prep work.
months of my life almost entirely, and definitely the last couple of weeks of everybody in the group.
And it's
Has
been
just been
more than
every
3 months
waking
of
moment.
just like discussion
Oh
and
yeah,
like general
Oh,
just kind
I'm
of
not saying that like
like
you
it's been
guys
3
were
months of
laying
like
around.
solid, dedicated, hard
Yeah.
work, and more than that of planning and discussion and figuring out what work needs to be done.
Yeah.
It's a lot. There's my apartment.
David being like,
I don't
"Hey,
have
I
an
have
apartment
terrible
anymore. Now I
ideas."
just live in a recording studio. Is what has
Yes.
happened. It's cool. I like it. This was great.
We mentioned it, 3 months of messaging Dave and just being like, hey, I have terrible plot ideas.
Yeah, I was.
Paul has for literally like 5 or 6 months just walked up to me periodically and gone schemes and then not explained anything.
We came
At all.
up with the notions of the secrets of Emmeline, which you saw a little bit of today with her association or knowledge of the Bramble Man. But more will come. We came up with that idea very early in the process, and the first thing I did is I looked at Paul and I was like, you can't talk about this to the other players. It's gotta come out organically on stream because I want it to be creepy and interesting. And I hope today was creepy and interesting.
Even with all the jokes and everything,
Jokes are fine. No, I'm not saying like it has to be serious. There was the one moment where I was like in mid sentence trying to describe how creepy these things were, and everybody erupts laughing, and I'm like, oh,
Sorry,
it's not
dude.
your fault. A little
Every
bit.
Sunday.
Every
I-
Sunday
I
at
even
4.
It's
Playing
fair.
next 1 week from today at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Every Sunday, 4
want to know
o'clock
your
p.m. every
secrets.
Sunday.
The only
Sunday,
secrets you get
Sunday,
to know
Sunday.
right now are that I get to know when things are sentient after I kill them.
Yes. Yes. Killing something informs Emmeline if they were sentient or not. That is her superpower.
That's fun.
And definitely nothing else.
No, not even a little.
Oh, it hurts her too.
Yes.
I did mention that there was a prick on
slightly.
her arm when it happened. That's how she knows.
We
If
should
her arm hurts,
level up to 2.
yeah. Actually, do we want to do a quick
Level up.
rundown process of the leveling up to 2 thing on stream? Is there a reason not to?
Good. I'm hungry.
That's fair. I am also
Throwing
running
stuff
on
away.
Fumes?
blood sugar fumes.
That is
If
dangerous
you
for
guys
you.
want us to do like a tutorial thing or something
We
like
would be
that,
happy on our YouTube
Yeah,
channel.
actually,
On our
that's a good
YouTube
point.
channel, we absolutely can put up some guides and stuff.
Or after the fact, we can go back and talk about. Like, I would love to do a set of
Yeah.
videos where each player talks about the choices they made for their character going into level 1, and then do one where we all get together and talk about the choices everyone made at level 2.
Yeah.
And
that
just
was-
like every time we level
So,
up, get the group
can
together and
do
be
a
like,
whole
these
thing.
are the
The
choices.
The
we
choices
made,
from
and here's why."
playtest.
Follow us on YouTube.
And because we did
Yeah.
actually we met semi-weekly for a while during the playtest this as we were planning the group. So these characters were all rolled for the playtest test it out, and then re-rolled when we had the official material.
The links
to
to our
link-
YouTube should be in the description, right?
Not yet. Actually,
It
that was
isn't.
the one I forgot
Okay.
to put up.
I-
I will put a link to YouTube in the description. The other thing is, YouTube is real weird about their links. They won't give you a custom URL unless you have a certain number of subscribers. That said, if you go to YouTube and search for Have Dice Will Save, we have a video up there of our intro sequence, which you saw at the beginning of the stream, if you were here at the beginning of the stream. If not, go look at it. It was a real fucking cool.
We are also on Facebook, and Facebook has
Yes.
links to our YouTube page.
Facebook has a link to our YouTube page.
We're on
We
We
are
have
Twitter.
Instagram.
We're on
we are on Twitter
Instagram.
and we are on Instagram. If you would like to follow us on all of those things, on Twitter we are at HDWS Live, the same we are on Twitch, because both Twitch and Twitter share a character limit that makes Have Dice Will Save one character too long, exactly one character
So
too
Have
long.
Dice Will Save.
Yeah, Have Dice Will Save.
But no,
So I decided to go HDWS Live with those, and then on Facebook we are facebook.com/Have Dice Will Save.
Mhm.
On YouTube, we are youtube.com/a random string of characters right now.
Eventually, it will be.
Eventually, it will be
But
slash
at the
Have Dice
moment,
Will Save.
you got to search it.
Or just go to our YouTube and click through there.
Yeah.
And I will put a link to it in our Twitch description down there. I just forgot. I had so many things going through my head coming into this stream.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's where we're gonna wrap up for now. Honestly and sincerely, I am blown away by the level of like people and interaction that we got. I was expecting like 3 people, and 2 of them would be my mom accidentally logged in twice. So sincerely, thank you. I hope to see you all again soon. If you have any questions, shoot messages to our Facebook or on DM on Twitter, or just tweet us on Twitter. I don't care. Like, I don't care if you take our shit public.
We will
talk
have
to
a wonder
you.
time. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Have a wonderful evening, everyone.